Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are starting our first conversation this morning, and as we mentioned, it's all about farming beyond Earth. Now that definitely gives a lot to think about there. Now this is a project, I believe it's called the Martian Greenhouse 5.0, and we are joined by representatives of a high school that is partaking in this project. We are joined this morning by Consuelo Godfrey, and she is the director of the teaching training program with the Belize High School. Also joining us is Alessandra Avila and Michael Habet, and they are also participants representing the Belize High School. Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning,
and
guys.
welcome.
Morning. Thanks for having us.
Now, growing food on Mars, a lot of us hear about the possibility of life beyond Earth and what that could potentially look like. We've also talked about the possibility of growing food on Mars, but seeing actual young persons invested in this process is something that I think might be the only thing closest to, for me, living on Mars.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this project, the Martian Greenhouse.
Sure. Thanks, Sabrina, and thanks for having us. Pathlight Belize, the organization I work for, really was the pioneer, and we trailblazed this project in the year of COVID. And it was an opportunity for students to be able to, one, learn in a new way, be able to touch with subject matter experts from around the world. Our first project for Martian Greenhouse started in 1.0, started back in 2020. We only had 3 schools participating, and we were pilot testing the design team. I'm a part of the design team, along with Dr. Matula from NASA, Dr. Kennedy from the Space Center there in Colorado. We have 2 trainers at Pathlight that participates. And then we have all our students from all the different high schools around Belize. What I really like about this project is it allows students to think about design thinking, think about concepts of design. They look at energy. They look at all the things that would power a greenhouse. The students will tell you about their experience, but it also introduces them to things like agriculture, types of soil, the food that they'll grow, the seeds that they'll carry, to in order to sustain life on Mars, which is really and truly, in the next 50 to 100 years, that is a possibility if this Earth is inhabitable to live on.
I would want to think,
what's happening, right?
If I interject,
sure.
I also want to think that it also involves astronomy.
It does,
right?
yes.
At its core, because you're looking at another planet altogether. It's not the one that we occupy.
And as you know, Mars, I've learned so much about Mars in doing this for 5 years. Mars is not, there is water, but there's a different, so the atmosphere, they learn about atmosphere, the water systems, the food systems, the land, even if how they're going to structure and sustain the actual structure of the greenhouse. So this project is 15 weeks. Belize High School has been a participant for 3 years. We have 6 Belize high schools participating and 2 U.S. high schools. And it's an awesome project. The students will talk about their work with their mentor, Dan Adamo. But it really allows students to learn from people beyond Belize. And it's really the future of learning.
Yeah.
And I think, and I always say this about the program, what these students learn in 15 weeks about space and science is, in my mind, blows everything else out the water. What they would learn in a year with a textbook or a 10 by 10 classroom. And so they learn so much more in just 15 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily how long you're in school, but it's the quality of the learning.
What you're able to take in.
Right.
I think it speaks to the competency-based curriculum and what we are looking at in terms of reformed education here in Belize. I have to say, of course, kudos to you guys from Pathlight who have encouraged institutions to go a little bit outside of the box when we're thinking of science-based learning. But of course, we do want to engage our students in the conversation. As I mentioned, we have 2 representatives here from Belize High School who are actively a part of this program. Now, guys, were you interested in anything beyond Earth before this project came about?
For me, I don't think I was really. I've always taken a liking in space and astronomy to an extent. Never to this extent, and I never considered about being able to plan growing plants on Mars. So it was really interesting, and I found it as an exciting opportunity when my teacher asked me to participate.
What about the academic exchange? Because you're also, in constant communication with other students like yourself who have the same interest.
It's interesting because you get to learn a lot of other ideas, other perspectives, and it really helps. It teaches you a lot of teamwork, a lot of team building, a lot of communication, especially learning your strengths and other people's strengths to effectively perform research, because that's something that we had to identify what everyone is strong in, how we can use that to the most potential.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I also understand that you guys have been privileged to speak to some people who actually work in NASA or with NASA, astronauts at that. Michael, what has your experience been like?
Yeah, so I've never really been much into this space, but since joining this meeting or this organization project, we've met with many experts from NASA, from SpaceX, from different engineering companies, and it's really interesting to see how they just know so much about it. You know, me personally, I was never really interested in space, especially in plants. So to grow plants on Mars is beyond something that I ever expected to be doing in high school. So yeah, meeting with the mentors and such is really opening my knowledge.
How has that helped to broaden your horizon in terms of being able to understand more about outer space and also life here on Earth?
Yeah, so, well, I didn't know anything about Mars, how people live on Mars. But yeah, I really have gained a lot of knowledge about it, especially since even on Earth, I didn't even know how stuff works on Earth for plants. So yeah, it really broadened my horizon, yeah, as you said. So yeah.
Now, Ms. Godfrey, you mentioned that these students are a part of a team of sorts.
Yes.
I'd like for us to get a greater understanding of what this partnership looks like. What's the end goal? Because you did mention that this is 5.0, so 5 years of doing this. Is there an ultimate product or project that we can expect as viewers to follow along this journey with you guys?
Yes, thanks for that, Sabrina. Yes, certainly. So what we do is we allow students to create their student teams at their school. It's all student-led, so it's really student-driven. It allows for students to plan and meet in their teams, like Alessandra said, allowing students to have different roles and participate. Every week there's a weekly check-in, so there's a different leader that presents. They have to provide updates. When they meet with their mentors, they have to come with their questions about their design or wherever they are in the process. So that's 15 weeks. Then on November 20th, the students will present their final designs. Now, I can safely tell you that we have been blown away every year by the students of Belize in not just their design, but in some schools actually build a prototype of the greenhouse. Georgetown Tech did an actual prototype. Belize High School in their first year did a prototype. King's College last year, they did an entire video that was in 3D that provided a whole like a view of what they would do on Mars had they been the scientists who were on there. And so, as Michael says, it really broadens the horizon. They're going to present to a panel of experts and to other schools. So we will invite like their parents and everyone that has supported them in these 15 weeks to participate in the presentation. We have all the presentations over 5 years that we are putting. We have our page, our Martian Greenhouse 5.0 page, and that's going to be featured on our YouTube channel, which is also for Martian Greenhouse. And they share this across the globe with so many different schools. We've had schools from Nigeria, schools from Pakistan, schools from Brazil that have participated over the years. Belize usually has the most participants. I really think that it was a way for us as a country to have our students, because I think our students are just as talented and just as intelligent to be able to broadcast and show their work and their skills. So this was, for me, this was a passion of mine to push for Belize, that we would have our students participate like this. And I'm so happy that this year we had 6 schools that was interested in participating in this project and in this program, because it does, every Tuesday they have to meet for an hour online. And then they have to meet with their mentors, and then they have to find the time to meet each other and make sure they check in, and we teach them project management skills, and we teach them design skills and research skills, and they get to learn to talk to someone other than their teacher and understand that in life you're not learning just from your teacher, you're learning from people around you, so you have to know how to communicate your ideas, right?
Has there been any sort of perhaps a follow-up with past students to see if they're still very much interested in this pursuit?
Well, that's something we have students that have done it before. We call them legacy leaders, and we have 2 actually that are participating as leaders in this one. So we do have an exchange of, you've done this before. What kind of I think it's Naki and Elisa. Both of them are students that have done it before, Naki from South America and Lisa from ESTM. These students have done this for years, and so now they want to give back to the program. And we encourage that level of leadership. We have some students from Pakistan and India as well, who have participated, that have also guided some of the breakout rooms that we do. I think you guys would have seen some of the students, past students. So yeah, that's one way that we check in with our students who have done it before. But that's a really good idea, Isani, for us to follow up and see, hey, is the interest still there, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, my big question is, and I'm sure this might be one of the questions on a lot of our minds, how do we grow food on Mars? What will that process look like, guys?
So far, we have come up with the idea of using an aeroponic system, which, for those who don't know, is basically like utilizing more structures that are hung in the air and then watered via nozzles. And we selected certain plants like lentils, legumes, spinach, kale, mushroom, beets that can be used to then make phytomeats, which is just a plant-based meat, because you still need proteins in order to sustain the body. So, and you will be there for very long lengths of time, so you need the necessary nutrients.
So what I'm hearing is not every type of plant will be able to be grown on Mars, and the ones that will be able to be grown, you'll also convert into some sort of plant-based protein as well. Very smart, guys. And yourself, Michael, what have you learned so far in terms of how we will be able to have food on Mars?
Yeah, so for me in this project, because we all delegated different tasks to each other in our group, we have 6 group members. So for me particularly, I've been focused on the energy for our greenhouse. So for Mars, we have decided that the most effective energy source is nuclear energy. So for us, we're doing 2 different nuclear reactors for our greenhouse. So I'm not particularly,
go ahead, sorry.
I don't know all the specifics of the plants. I'd have to ask my other group members.
You're going nuclear. Is it because perhaps when you look at the climate of Mars, you don't have wind or any other alternative source of energy?
The other energy is like solar energy. The thing is, on Mars, there's some storms that can last a lot of time, and you won't get any solar energy. So the most reliant one is nuclear energy.
Interesting.
What goes through your mind, Ms. Godfrey, when you hear these students actually understand the concept of survival on another planet?
Well, it says one thing that, and if you listen to Michael and Alessandra, and they talk about each their own little area of expertise, just imagine if if all our high school students could learn this way. It doesn't take a lot of time. This is 15 weeks. And these students are becoming experts in their own little, Alessandra with the plants, Michael with the energy. You have some students who are looking at the actual structure, how we as humans would be able to survive. I think it's every time I listen to the students, I get very passionate about it, because when I look at their final project, I'm like, this was worth it, right? This was worth all this investment and time, getting Belize onto this team and getting Belize onto this project. So I'm really pleased, and I'm so happy that both Michael and Alessandra could speak so intelligently about the work that they're doing. But you could ask them, how do they actually, if they feel good about participating, what do they think about teamwork?
Yeah. Alessandra?
It's interesting. I haven't taken up many projects where I have to work with others, or many projects in general. So when I did decide to join, I found it to be very enlightening, and a lot of lessons have been learned, a lot of methods of research, identifying my strengths, my weaknesses, being able to work with others to help with my weaknesses.
Yeah. I think one of the things that stand out to me is the fact that these students are doing this almost sort of independently. They have to manage their time aside from regular school hours to ensure that they meet their commitment that they signed on to. Is that one of the challenges that you guys have observed through this process?
Yes.
Yeah? And for you, Michael?
Yeah. Well, so I've been designated as a team leader for our team. So especially for me, I have to be making sure that everyone's attending meetings, making sure that we're meeting regularly, and making sure that everyone's contributing evenly. So yeah, that's been a challenge, but so far it's been good.
What would you say to encourage other students, not necessarily from Belize High School, but any other school who would be interested in this kind of initiative?
Yeah, well, I would say don't be afraid to do something that you don't know about. For me, I didn't know anything about it, but I was interested in it, sounded fascinating. So I said, all right, I'll try it, I'll give it a chance, and I'll do my best.
And there obviously needs to be buy-in from the school in the sense of allowing these students to take the necessary time needed to do their research. What is that coordination like with Pathlight and these actual institutions?
Right, so this is part of our after-school level up program. We started out with a program called STEM for Girls, and it really was aimed at girl teams, like from around the country. But then we realized that we have to also include both boys and girls. And so it grew after the first year to having schools participate. We usually do a call for school participation in July and August. And we normally get like 10 schools who initially said they want to do it. But one of the challenges we've been facing is having teachers as facilitators, and we are really happy that Mr. Campos from Belize High School has agreed and Mr. Kos has agreed to be facilitators, because it's not a teacher-led process, it's a student-led process. So teachers take a back seat. They just have to ensure that when they meet with the mentors, it's safe, following all the protocols, that the students are, leaders like Michael and Alessandra are keeping to task. But it really want the students to develop this idea that they don't always need their teacher to learn. They don't always need their teacher to hold their hands and everything. So it's a process that these students are learning to be independent. The next project that they do, they can do it on their own. But it has been a challenge to maintain large numbers of schools. It's myself and I bring in my team from Pathlight, and we do all of this voluntarily. This isn't even a part of what we do, like a day-to-day of the work that we do, because we do teacher training. But to me, if we're teacher trainers and we're an organization, a leading organization that does professional development, how is that impacting the students that are the beneficiaries? So for me, I love this opportunity, because then I get to see, okay, we're training these teachers. Is it really an impact on students? Like, are they really going to be implementing the work in school? So here is an example of a project that speaks to student achievement, that speaks to those impacts. In real time, we talk about subject matter experts, but are we really doing that? Are we really creating a structure in our education system that allows for that to happen, so that learning is global? It's not just about doing it in your little 10 by 10 classroom. It's so much more than that. Our students are global citizens, so we must give them opportunities to be that.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was just about to ask you about the gratification that you personally get out of it. You seem to be very much invested in this program. What's the sense of satisfaction beyond seeing these kids excel in this particular area?
That's the satisfaction, Isani. When I see those projects on November 20th, I sit there and I'm like, wow, like this is our Belizean kids. I have two girls that went through the system. One is still in high school, and I said, imagine if this was offered to her, if she could do this, if she could learn this way. So the satisfaction is one, seeing students like Alessandra and Michael take up that leadership and be able to share their knowledge. But not only that, look at a school like Georgetown that's, way all the way out there in the Stan Creek Valley area. These students are so passionate. Miss Nadine is so passionate about this work, and the kids, they don't have internet, but you know what they do? They pool together and they stay at school, and Miss Nadine gets someone to pick them up, and there's such dedication. And when I see the final project like we saw with King's College last year, Bishop Martin's project, I'm like, wow. So to me, that just makes it all better, because then I feel that I've contributed something to the system.
Absolutely. But are there any other incentives that these kids are looking forward to aside from the final project? Perhaps opportunities to meet with these professionals in person or via virtually?
I would love that, Sabrina. This project has been going on for 5 years with no funds. This is a no fund project. This is all voluntary time. These experts that come and speak to the students, they take time out of their busy schedule to meet with the kids every week, to find their own time to meet with, like they have Dan Adamo, who is awesome, by the way. He's been with us for 5 years. He is super crazy about working with students and, you know, and doing all this work. But it would be great if this could become like a lab exchange, where we have students who participated in the program. Now imagine if these guys get to meet students from Tom Collins and Holy Trinity School, those are the other high schools from the United States, get to exchange ideas with these students who've participated and say, hey, wouldn't it be great to have a Belize delegation go up and meet with people from Lockheed Martin, meet with people from NASA, from the aerospace industry, the Buzz Aldrin Society that participates. But yeah, it's really just passion and volunteerism that drives this.
Wow. Well, kudos to you guys. Again, we can definitely see that passion is one of the biggest drivers of this particular project. And also kudos to the young people who have decided to take time out of their schedules where they could have either been at home or been doing something else with their time, but to devote themselves to this project that really just comes from a place of passion and curiosity. As we wrap up this conversation, I'll ask if there's anything that we can look forward to in the near future as it relates to the Green Martian project.
Well, Alessandra and Michael could certainly say what they're going to do on November 20th. What can we look forward to, students?
Well, at least for our final submission, we hope to do a video on a digital 3D model, so not a physical prototype, and we're even considering making a prototype of just the agriculture system.
Oh, nice. Well, I remember watching the movie from the other high school, and that was impressive on its own. So to see this in person would be even more interesting, I think. And on your side, Michael, what we can expect from you?
Well,
you're on the same team, yes?
Yeah, we're on the same team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are
So
we going to be looking forward to you guys taking part in future projects like this?
Well, we're both seniors right now in high school, so this is about it for us.
It's about it.
Let's step back a bit.
Yeah.
Let's step back a bit and talk about what it means for you two students representing Belize High School. I know that BHS has been sort of in the forefront of robotics, sciences and technology, the whole STEAM program. What is it for you guys, that particular feeling of being an ambassador for your school?
Yeah, it's a very good feeling. Specifically robotics has been big in our school, but myself and Alessandra were science majors, so we are focused in science. So this is like very special for us because finally we got a big project that we can do that revolves around our science-based learning. So yeah, it's a very good feeling to be able to represent your school.
Yeah. It's essentially the same, like you said. Robotics has been, I think, one of the main focuses towards BHS. So BHS is notion to be a robotics school, but there is more. Like, we have debate that I believe both of us have participated in. There's other subject areas that I think also deserve some shining on.
Some recognition as well. Ms. Godfrey, if there are any schools that might be interested in taking part in perhaps 6.0, how can they reach out to you guys?
Well, certainly Pathlight, we work in all the high schools, so we're going to do another call. We want to see if we could do one for the spring, but this one will be on energy, sustaining energy using alternative means of sources other than oil. And so certainly we want to be able to have students participate in that. Hopefully we can run the program that would be Energy 3.0, because that's 3 years. And then we would do a call to all high schools. So we do have a WhatsApp group that we have with teachers on it. So we will definitely send out our flyers. But if they want to contact Pathlight to learn more about the program, they certainly can contact me. Most teachers probably have my number by now. We work in all the schools. So they could certainly contact Pathlight if they want to learn more.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Congratulations on the work that you have been doing, and we can't wait to see your final products.
Thank you so much, Sabrina and Isani.
All right, we are going to take a quick break now, and when we come back, the conversation switches into unraveling the mystery of the screwworm fly.